At Direct Service Garage Doors, we are your one-stop shop for all things garage door. From garage door repair and broken spring replacement to new garage doors and openers, we do it all. We're proud to be among the highest-rated local garage door companies in all of Central Arkansas. Our highly trained technicians are available 24 hours a day at no extra cost to you. So if you have an emergency, call us today, 501-244-3667, or visit our website at directserviceoverhead.com. Don't wait days. We'll fix it now.
It is finally upon us. Oh, my goodness. It may not feel it outside, but it is certainly a Flamingo Friday inside the studio room here. Tuss Talk with Ty inside the Hudson residence. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Yo, what's going on, Arkansas Razorback fans? How you guys doing? Hope you're doing swell. I want to say a special shout out to you guys, Patreon supporters. I do appreciate you, whether you're a $4 donator or if you're in the $8 plus club. I do appreciate each and every one of you guys. Get my keyboard straightened out here. Get my calendar all nice and neat. So, and all you guys that are here live, make sure if you have any questions or comments, fire away. Super Chat is up and active. Also, Direct Service Overhead, Garage Door Company, one of the show sponsors. Travis Ford and the boys, they've got you covered. They offer same-day services, better than best results, hundreds of 5-star reviews, free estimates, quality parts, and same-day, well, I said same-day services, but they do absolutely offer that, and that's a big deal. 501-244-3667. Again, that's 501-244-3667. For Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. Apex Tattoo Studio, located in Rogers, Arkansas, on 201 South 19th Street, Suite P. Walk-ins are welcome. Tap-out sessions are available. Give them a call, 479-278-2694. They're giving you a 10% discount if you mention Tuss Talk with Ty, or just say Ty Hudson, whatever. They got you covered. They'll give you the 10%. You'll get the discount. Tell them Ty sent you. Odd Soul Bar, Craft Bar, that is, in Pizzaria, located on Emma Street, right here down the road in Springdale, Arkansas. Fantastic pies, all kinds of stuff on tap. If they don't have it, nobody else has it. That's for damn sure. That's Odd Soul Craft Bar and Pizzeria, located here on Emma Street. We got a big weekend for Arkansas. They're going to start off, baseball, which unfortunately, as per usual, by the way, and before you get into conference play, you got these 2 and 3 p.m. first pitches, which kind of suck, but is what it is. Eastern Illinois today at 2 p.m. Weather kind of sucks. And we got that game just around the corner, and it is currently 43 degrees. I don't know what the turnout is going to be like for a 2 p.m. game at Bama, although it'll be better than most places. We all know that. Hog baseball fans are diehards. They will go to those games, or at least the baseball fans are. The casuals probably not so much today, and who could blame them? 2 p.m. is going to be hard to get to, and the weather's kind of sucky. If you go, take a coat. You're going to be sitting. Hopefully they got some coffee there for you. Eastern Illinois, again, it's a 3-game series this weekend. 2 p.m. today, 12 o'clock tomorrow, and then 1 o'clock on Sunday. So the 24th, 25th, and 26th, we have Arkansas baseball. And, of course, we know they got Wright State coming into town next weekend, but you've got Illinois State that'll start off the month of March. Baseball looking to, whatever, get a win. Just win. Series win, that is, not just a win. Get 2 or 3 of them bad boys this weekend. Don't panic if Arkansas doesn't sweep these guys. We know Dave Van Horn, he might kind of tippy-toe around his bullpen a little bit. He might do a little bit of experimentation. I've got something on the end of my cap here. He might do a little bit of experimenting out of the bullpen. He might want to see if some of these younger guys have it against what could be a decent opponent here. Eastern Illinois is 3-0 after all, so, make of that what you will. Arkansas, we know they had to come back to beat Grambling. Of course, that's a midweek game. Things are a little bit different. You should never panic, by the way, over a midweek game. My God. Some of the people complaining about a midweek game, there's only a couple of people in our Discord, but it's like, just pump the brakes, man. First off, it's early in the season. Second of all, it's a midweek game. We know it's going to be a little bit different. Who's pitching on the mound and so on and so forth. Like, just relax. It's early in the year. You're going to lose a game you're not supposed to lose or win, or you're going to lose a game you're supposed to win. What I'm trying to say. Again, you do have Army. That'll be a fascinating midweek game on March 7th after you play Wright State. Louisiana Tech, which could be interesting. We know them boys down in Louisiana can play baseball. UNLV, that series, it's a midweek 2-game series, Tuesday, March 14th and March 15th. And then March 17th, right at the halfway part of the month of March, you take on Auburn here in Fayetteville. And then the following weekend, which could be one of the biggest games of the regular season. I know Mississippi fans are making a big deal of them and Mississippi State playing each other. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, those of us west of the Mississippi will be this will be a big deal. Arkansas on the road at Baton Rouge. Yeah, don't get me wrong. You'd love to have that weekend here in Fayetteville because it's LSU. It's always fun when they come to town. But folks down in Baton Rouge, they like it when Arkansas comes to town. Whether they're good or bad, they like it. I've actually talked to several LSU fans, LSU baseball fans. Had a number of them in my DMs last year. And they were talking about, the opportunity of Arkansas coming back down next year, knowing that Arkansas was going to be pretty good. So, yeah, believe it or not, right now, those games, by the way, Auburn is going to be, SEC Network Plus. They're all SEC Network Plus outside of the first Louisiana Tech game. Wright State will be SEC Network Plus, meaning you're going to have some access to it, whether it's through the ESPN app or whatever. You should have some access to it. Eastern Illinois, all 3 games right now are SEC Network Plus, so you should be able to pull these up on your ESPN app. LSU right now, the first game is ESPN 2. In fact, it looks like 2 out of the 3 are going to be on ESPN, the Deuce. So, yeah, all right. Let's see who all's in here. Look at that. We got some super chats rolling in here. And make sure you guys like and share. That would be great if you do that. I know Haas, shout out to Haas, who's super chatted and he's shared the content. Austin, I do appreciate you boys. I really do. Let's go. Let's go. Something good to listen to on the way to work. Oh, you're so sweet. What's going on, Scott Painter? How you doing? Matt Washington, finally I get to listen to a live. Get those likes up. I appreciate you, Matt. Thank you. What up, everybody? Nick and Devo about to shut down Brandon Miller. Oh. Can't wait for tomorrow, man. Grayson Reeser. Haven't been able to catch a show in a while. My favorite Hog Talk. I appreciate that. As a Razorback fan living in Bama, praying for a big one this weekend. Thoughts and prayers going out to Grayson, man. He's got to deal with them. How close to Tuscaloosa are you? And who's worse, Alabama fans or Auburn fans? Or depending on where you're at, Georgia fans, what part of the state. Then again, doesn't really matter, right? Aaron Harbison says Nick Smith proves to everyone why he's a lottery pick tomorrow, locking it in. Hogs 78-72. Oh, going on the road against a top 10 defense, putting up almost 80 points. John Haas says, saw 3 Hogs on the side of the road the other night. Hogs got 3 games left. Wait, saw 3 Hogs on the side of the road the other night. I have no idea where you're going with this. Hogs got 3 games left. Hogs went out. Write it down. I'll shave my beard if I'm wrong. I wasn't really sure where you were going with that, Haas, because I know how you be. I know how you be. So I probably should have proofread that first. What's up, Rob? How you doing, man? Yeah. Lock. Well, he said locking in the Hogs, fish. What's going on, Zach? How you doing, man? Hope all is well. Hope all is well, Zachary Hall. Arkansas Storm Tracker right there, boys. Right there. Go follow him on the Twitters. Go Hogs. Get her done, says Kelly. I like it. Brandon Miller didn't seem distracted, but the rest of his team sure did. Yeah, they had to go into overtime. They had to go into overtime to beat South Carolina. I get it. It's on the road. South Carolina's been a little spicy at times. Arkansas went and struggled. They struggled, but, they still found a way to win, and so did Alabama. And they didn't have, Nick Smith. Devo's about to do what TBD, wow, Lord, locking Miller down. Yeah, we'll get to the Alabama talk here in just a second. I fully expected some of these, by the way, but I probably should do a better fan of proofreading these. Ty, I behave here. It's in Discord. I can't act right. Fair enough. Mr. Collins says bad wins are still wins. We know. John, don't shave your beard. All right, let's get in really quick. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it. Scrolling. Here we go. Eastern Illinois, really fast, just to kind of touch up on this a little bit. Arkansas right now 3-0. Of course, we know they haven't started in conference play. Last year, Arkansas finished 18-12. Keep that in mind. They finished 18-12 in conference play and still made the College World Series. Finished with a record of 46-21 in the College World Series semifinals. Eastern Illinois last year went 33-20. They went 12-12 in their conference, and they did not get anything outside of conference tournament play. Eastern Illinois, we'll see. Razorbacks own a pretty dominating lead over Eastern Illinois all time. I did not realize this. They're 32-2. 32-2. That's that's pretty dominant. I didn't realize they'd played them that much. Arkansas's won the last 7 straight over Eastern Illinois. NBA mock draft. Buddy of mine sent me all these links. He's like, bro, I can't believe this. Nick Smith Jr., according to NBC Sports, who's usually my go-to for draft stuff, between them and Draft Buzz is really good. I think it's NBA Draft Buzz. I've had their links shared on my Discord in my private server. I kind of put them off to the side because I really like what they do there. I don't actually have theirs up here yet, but I have NBC Sports right now. Nick Smith Jr., they've got him down to a 7, but they have Anthony Black up to 8. Now, NBC Sports is, of all the major networks, right, I kind of look at NBC as the one that takes basketball the most serious between them and maybe, of the established corporate media types. I would say they're up there. ESPN's probably not far behind. I don't know. And then everyone else is just kind of, I don't really take anyone else serious if I'm being real honest. It's like NBC Sports and ESPN of the the established corporate media types. Then you have like the written, like Bleacher Report, The Athletic, so on and so forth. But again, Nick Smith Jr. had a 7, Anthony Black had an 8, and they have Ricky Council, if I looked at this correctly, 30th in the pick. They have Ricky Council at number 30. That's NBC Sports. I'm going to open these links here in just a second. Bleacher Report has him down to 8th, Nick Smith Jr. So they have him sliding a little bit further down. They have him at 8th, Anthony Black at 13, and they have Ricky Council at 23rd, and Walsh at 41. You guys keep telling me Walsh should be lucky to be taking it all in the first two rounds. They've got him at 41 with room to grow. It's his ceiling. We just haven't seen Walsh touch yet. We haven't seen him get there. We've seen him come off the bench and get you some quality minutes, quality 15, 20 minutes. You know, it's sometimes he gets a little careless with the ball and, he doesn't play smart defensive basketball. His on-the-ball defense is ferocious, but it's almost like too ferocious, right? He goes a little too far, and he gets hit with those fouls, but he's also the guy, if you watch someone, he'll be guarding around, maybe up around the, whoever they've got him on, whether it's the 2 or the 3, whatever. He'll be manned up, across the free throw line or whatever, and someone will try to drive the lane behind him. Watch him. His awareness, he's got great defensive, I don't know what you want to call it, area awareness. He'll turn around and put his hand out and try to slap the ball loose. Now, yeah, you'll see other guys do that from time to time, anywhere, high school, college, pros. He does it like every defensive possession. If someone is going through the lane behind where his back is facing the lane, which is also not always, because he's usually, again, he's got his feet set and he's kind of helping defend that lane so that there's no easy lanes to the rim. But if his back is turned, he's turning around, he's trying to slap the ball loose. And then what happens? Anthony Black will pick the ball up, or Devo will pick the ball up, or if Devo isn't the guy that's actually playing defense, right? Someone will pick the ball up, Council, and they go down the floor, and it's all because of how he set the play up defensively. That's what I like about Walsh. The issue is he hasn't found his rhythm on the offensive end of the floor yet. He's not figured it out on the offensive end of the floor yet, not consistently. Maybe this is a game where Alabama's going to lock in on Council and on Nick Smith, and maybe this is Walsh's opportunity. I would probably be willing to bet it's going to be, I don't know. It's going to be fascinating to watch how Alabama handles Nick Smith and how, once again, I'm sure Devo's going to get some minutes just to deal with Mr. Miller. But watch Walsh. If he gets some quality moments tonight, watch him on the defensive end of the floor. He's a smart, or I should say, I don't know if I want to use the word smart, because, again, he gets a little too handsy. But he's got active hands, again, a little too active. But his on and off the ball defense, it's really up there. And it's probably right where Devo was as a freshman. And he got better and better, and now I think he's maybe one of the top 3 defenders in all the SEC, probably at least top 10, and maybe top 15 in the country, somewhere in there. Again, SEC, going up against an improved SEC roster compared to what it's been over the years, you have to kind of take that into consideration. It's not like the old SEC talent where maybe a couple teams you face might have a lottery pick. Now it feels like every other team besides, or it's like just Kentucky, maybe Florida, and then maybe like Tennessee might have a first-round pick. Now it's like everyone has a first-round pick in the SEC. Well, I shouldn't say everyone. You know what I mean? It feels like the top half of the league has someone that's considered a first-round draft pick. The quality of talent here is just incredible. But Walsh was a part of that, though, right? Walsh was a McDonald's All-American 5-star. Anthony Black, Nick Smith, these guys were all big-time players. The other guys were big-time. Pinion and Ford were 4 stars, highly sought-after players. Arkansas is loaded, man. This game's going to be fascinating to watch. We'll see. I don't know if I'm buying Ricky Council in the top 20 or not, or top 25. I don't know that it's because of how wildly inconsistent Council has been. He has been overall. He's the leading scorer on this team. Would that be the case if Brazile and Nick Smith were healthy all year? I don't think so. I don't think so. But at the same time, Council has kind of taken off with Nick Smith, especially when Nick Smith is getting 20 minutes or more. We're seeing Ricky Council start to, now it's like everyone's so distracted with him. Everyone's so distracted when he and Anthony Black have the ball in their hands. And now he gets the opportunity. But listen, it's not like people don't know who he is, right? Everyone's going to have these three guys circled. And then you got to deal with the Twins, who on the offensive side of the floor, one of them is starting to figure things out, and they're getting these little easy 2-point floaters, which don't look like they should go in. And then look at Jalen Graham, right? Like his offense, it looks like maybe we're starting to see some consistency. Could Graham maybe find his way into the second round? Maybe he could end up being a high-end pick. A high second round, middle second round. The Athletic has Nick Smith Jr. at 9, Anthony Black at 11, and Ricky Council at 41. Alabama for this game, it's sold out. This is from Bama Hoops season, or at Bama Hoops season on Twitter. Sold out, white out, 5,000 white T-shirts given out. Number 2 with a 24-4 overall record, 14-1 in conference play. Miller returns to Coleman. It's Arkansas Musselman. Apparently they don't like us. I don't know. A win puts Bama one game closer to an SEC title. Yeah, so I think if they win this one and the next one, they win the conference, the regular season title. And then the home win streak is on the line. I'm not saying this is their Super Bowl. That's a silly statement to make. Arkansas would do the exact same thing. With these two teams. Arkansas's figuring things out. Nick Smith being back has been a big thing, right? I've also said, and someone told me, well, Ty, you're not a pessimist, you're a realist, whatever. I think all pessimist people say that. And it's funny because someone responded with that exact comment. But I maybe that's true. I don't know. Maybe they're right. It was against two shitty teams. Let's be real. Florida's not that great, especially with their best player done. Georgia's horrible. I kept telling you guys, ignore their record, ignore where they're at. Yeah, a great improvement with the new staff for Georgia, but they're awful. And Arkansas took advantage. How much of what's happening is just inflated because of a combination of these guys, of these teams not knowing how to deal with the lack of film that they have on Nick Smith, the lack of talent-to-talent matchup, right, with the lack of length and size, and just the lack of overall being a quality team. Like how much of that has – I think it's a little bit of all of it, right? These teams don't have a boatload of film. Like Muss is trying to do different things now with this roster and with the guys that are on the floor. You're seeing a little bit different rotation. You're seeing Devo he's catching more minutes on the pine, right? So teams are having to adjust with what little film they have with this version of this team that Musselman has with Nick Smith's return, and with Graham's elevated offensive presence, right? I could be wrong. I do think we see a lot of Devo Saturday to lock up Miller. I think that was the matchup last time, and he did a great job until later in the second half when Miller just kind of went off. I think he had back-to-back threes. This is a tough one. This is honestly a tough one to pick, because there is the off-the-floor situation with Bama. There is the off-the-court drama surrounding a player who should or should not be playing right now. I'm going to let the talking heads, I'm going to let SEC Network, ESPN, let them figure that out. But he's playing, okay? Miller's playing, whether you like it or not. Whether I think he should be or not, given what we know about the circumstances of that particular incident. He's playing. And a part of me says, listen, morally, should he be playing? Again, I'm going to let you guys can be there. I'm not going to go there. What I will say is I'm glad that Arkansas is going in against Bama, against the team that's going to need Miller to beat Arkansas. They're going to need Miller, in my opinion, if they want to make this a game and beat Arkansas. Arkansas is they're a different team right now on the floor than what they were even just 3 weeks ago. They're a different team. Now, again, I want to exercise caution because I don't want to sit here and make you think, oh, Ty's got him in the Final Four. There it is. Oh, they're going deep in the SEC tournament. Ty just said it. Nope, that's not what I'm saying. They're a different team on the floor, and they know they're going to need Miller. Hell, they needed Miller to beat South Carolina. Without Miller's 40 points, dude, they lose that game. Now, matchups matter, right? They're going to have someone else playing that role, and it wouldn't be a blowout. Someone on Twitter said, without Miller, South Carolina wins this thing by 20 points. No, they don't. Do they have a better chance, better odds at winning? Yeah, they do. They needed every bit of Miller's performance, and he was just as good in the overtime. That was a great game, by the way. They're going to need every bit of Miller to beat Arkansas. Now, that could also mean he's going to be a major distraction for the Razorbacks. They're going to have to pin him up against the wall. Oh, let me try that again. They're going to need to shut him down. They're going to need to figure out a way to contain him, and someone else might go off. But make no mistake about it, you're going to have to put your best on and off the ball defender, and that's Devo. I really don't know who else you trust. I don't know if you trust anyone else to lock him down for two. Son of a bitch. I don't know if you trust anyone else on this roster to limit his game on the floor. Wordplay over here. I got to be careful what I say. I promise. There are no puns intended. Yeah. So Arkansas is going to have their hands full. And Miller doesn't have to go off for 30 points to beat Arkansas. I'm not making that claim at all. But they're going to need his presence on the floor. Alabama's going to need him on the floor. When he's on the bench, it kind of feels like Arkansas might be able to do whatever they want, from an offensive standpoint, although Alabama's a top 10 defense. This is a tough matchup for Alabama. I mean, we know how this went down last time. This was toe-to-toe without Devo, without Nick Smith, without Brazil. This was a different kind of game, and they really needed that final 4.5 minutes from their freshman to go off and do the things that he does so well to win that game. And the score is not indicative of what really happened. Anybody who watched that game, I know some Alabama fan will say, well, look at the scoreboard. To hell with that. Did you watch the game? It was toe-to-toe. You never felt like, oh, Alabama's got this thing in the bag. Maybe there was a time when Alabama was able to stretch the lead a little bit and then Arkansas was able to chip away, but you never felt like Arkansas was completely out of that game. Now, yeah, that happened at Bud Walton. I mean, this is going to be a different environment. This is the thing, too. I think they're going to need every bit of Nick Smith's presence on the floor. Colum Coliseum, which, by the way, holds 15,000 plus, it's going to be a sellout. It's going to be a hornet's nest. So, yeah, they're going to need him. They're going to need him at his best. They're going to need a version of him that they got against South Carolina on the road. They're going to need that. Wouldn't shock me, though, that if Arkansas somehow limits him under 18 points. Wouldn't shock me. He's going to be – I think their approach is it's either going to be let him do what he wants but shut everyone else out and make a Brandon Miller versus Arkansas. That's kind of what South Carolina did. South Carolina just basically walled everyone else out and forced Miller to take the game over. And, I mean, of course, a lot of that was just him doing it by sheer will. Listen, he is I think it's tough to say if he's a better player than Nick Smith or not. That's tough because Nick Smith has had such a limited amount of time. We saw what Nick Smith is capable of this last game. Finally, he had this kind of breakout game. Alabama, I mean, they're very well aware of who Nick Smith is, obviously. They're very well aware of Ricky Council, what Black can do. Black continues to rack up those assists. He's just this team is different, man. I mean, I have this gut feeling like if this were a neutral floor or home game, that Arkansas would be capable of getting an upset here. Because of the circumstances, I think this place is going to be loud. Coleman, this might be the most hostile environment Arkansas has played all year. And that at Auburn or at Mizzou game, those were two pretty tough environments. Those fans were absolutely loud. Coleman's going to be chaotic. It's going to be a hornet's nest. It's going to be a little bit problematic. Nick Smith has not had to play in front of this yet. He's not had to play in front of under these circumstances, right? Late in the season, Alabama's trying to get closer and closer to an SEC regular season, another banner for them to hang, other than a single Final Four appearance or even a natty for that matter in basketball, because their basketball program is mostly irrelevant. But throughout history, it's a tough environment, tough situation for Arkansas to walk into. That is the X factor here in Brandon Miller. Those are the X factors. Arkansas with Nick Smith, that's the X factor, right? Musselman's always the X factor, how he deals with what Nate Oates is throwing at him on the floor. Let me read chat. I don't know if I want to read chat. Miller's great at creating shots for others. He could set up the rest of this floor. Which is why off-ball defense is going to matter. Whoever's on him, and I'm assuming again it's going to be Devo. Maybe they switch off, but off-ball defense is going to matter against Miller. Let's see what's going on, Scott. How you doing, man? William, the innuendos. Oh yeah. No matter what happens, Ty, that shirt is bought. What? No, wait. I've got the Top Gun. My wife has still not seen Top Gun Maverick yet. We got to fix that. We got to remedy that. We're going to be kidless for part of this weekend, so maybe we can watch Top Gun Maverick. But of course, I got the Top Gun. Then I'm doing the Hawaiian shirt. I'm doing the whole thing. But okay, Graham has elite offensive potential. He does, Tercer. I agree. His offense, especially with all these other distractions on the floor, it's kind of funny too because Devo was the most complete two-way player on the floor for Arkansas. Really up until Nick Smith came back. And look at him now. The only thing you want out of him is just – don't get me wrong. There's always that opportunity there for him to come out and still score on the offensive end of the floor. But that's not what they're asking him to do anymore. And the same with Anthony Black. Anthony Black can now settle into that true point guard role. That's what you love about all this, right? Like Nick Smith's return to open this thing up. Brandon Miller delivers when his teammate – oh, God. Oh, I knew this was going to be a shit show. I'm not buying RC4 getting drafted at all. Well, a lot of people are putting him in the draft. I don't know if I got him in the first round or not, but I don't know. I have a hard time seeing it, but boy, a lot of people are really liking him to be drafted somewhere around or somewhere in late in the first round. Jalen Graham, ? I love the dude, but doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell making the league. Probably not, but we've seen what he can do on the offense. We can see what he do around the post. Now, when you say making the league, I think he could end up in Europe, sure. Walsh is still 18 years old and is one of the best perimeter defenders in college basketball. There's a blueprint for players of that arch tap making the league and even being successful. This is Ryan Jones. Let's see. Scrolling. Having Nick Smith Jr. back is helping. Last game, only Anthony Black logged more than 30 minutes. Our guys not being gassed, yeah, it's big for the guards. It is big for rotating guards. It really is. Grayson Reeser, love Walsh's aggressiveness. Still feel like he is just gun shy on offense. All the room to grow. That's what scouts are looking at, right? Yeah, he's got a high ceiling. I think he's got a high ceiling. I'm not saying he's lottery pick ceiling, but I do think he's – who knows, man? Who knows? You see how inconsistent he is, and yet some people are already mentioning him. Walsh on Miller. Most basketball players will box you out. Miller boxes people in, says Eric Fountain. My eyes tell me Walsh has a 7'3" wingspan and is physically impressive in many ways, leading to him being a very impactful on-ball defender. Right. I've got that shirt. Oh, do you? Which one? The Top Gun or the Hawaiian shirt? Oh, okay. Yeah. Sometimes you guys gotta mention who the hell you're responding to, because a comment like, if you don't watch the NBA, just say so. And I'm sitting here like, I watch the Celtics. From time to time, I'll catch the Lakers just so I could send Otis. Well, I haven't messaged Otis about the Lakers in a while, but I used to. I used to message Otis about his Lakers. You want to get him going? Oof, don't get him going. Don't do that. Otis is a good guy. He's got enough on his plate. The last 3 years have been all the NBA. Let's see. The last 3 years have seen the NBA start playing more defense, except All-Star games. Have you seen some of these scores, though? Look at the score of the last Celtics game. Oh, the Top Gun shirt. Yeah, man. It's one of my favorite shirts. It's not, I'm too fat for it. I probably shouldn't wear it, but whatever. All right. One thing I've noticed about Walsh is he's getting bigger, like growing body mass, arms, shoulders, getting bigger. Must be living in the weight room. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I'm not entirely sure about that. Like I haven't really been paying a lot of attention to his physique necessarily. I mean, maybe that's possible in that short amount of time. If you're talking about like from high school, yeah, you could always see a difference. Well, not always, but you can see a difference when you see these guys as like juniors in high school up until like maybe a couple years into college basketball, or some of these guys who you look at their college draft day pictures and then you look at them 3 or 4 years in the NBA. I mean, it's incredible. LeBron didn't even look like the same dude like 5 years into the league. He didn't look like the same dude. The muscle mass, and like you said, living in the weight room, it's a big deal. Post hooks only with Graham. Yeah, Graham is he's not a putback guy. He plays well right in front of the iron, just kind of tipping the ball in. That's kind of what, or little floaters, right? That's something he has found. You can play defense and still score. They're that skilled. LMFAO. I don't know that it was that funny, but okay. All right, Will. Whatever. I'm not arguing, bro. I'm just saying there are some teams that play a lot of offense. They're offensive oriented. I'll tell you as a Celtics fan, playing some great offense right now. Graham had a good game last times we played them. Yeah, so let's look at the last time Arkansas played them. I had that pulled up. Well, I said I had it pulled up. Yeah, they beat Arkansas in Bud Walton. 84-69. That score is not indicative of what actually happened on the floor. Now, you look at their game flow graph. They got out 9:44 to go in the second half. They got out to a 10-point lead, an 11-point lead, and then Arkansas was able to bring it in close right at about almost to the 5-minute mark. Arkansas brings it within about 2 points. Now, it was really closing in on about 8 minutes when Arkansas kind of goes on a little bit of a run. Alabama kind of put on their heels a little bit. Arkansas gets this game closer and closer. And then there was a couple of threes, or I think it was 3 threes made right in a row. It felt like the dagger, and that was right at what was that? That was at about the 3:42 left to go. They got up to a 9-point lead, 74-63. Or I'm sorry, that's not a 9-point lead. That's a much larger lead. But eventually they get out to that about a 13, 14-point lead. Then it's 76-63. Arkansas able to kind of close the gap a little bit. And then, of course, how it ends with an 84-69. But you get into that right at about the 5-minute mark where Arkansas oftentimes has played some of their worst basketball. They actually played pretty good there, got the game close, brought it within 2 points, and then Alabama just took off. But really, even in the second half, Arkansas was playing them pretty tight, really up until about inside 12 minutes. And then Alabama went on a little bit of a scoring spree, right? Again, they increased that lead to about 11, 12 points. But almost the entire first half, it's a ball game. Alabama's biggest lead in the first half, I think, was 19-12. And then again, Arkansas chips away. Alabama would get on this big lead, and I remember that watching it. They'd get in this big lead, and then closing out the first half, Arkansas was well, why don't you? It was 31-32, I believe, at halftime, if I'm getting this right here. It was really close. And they were close throughout the beginning of the second half. Again, all the way up until that inside the 12-minute mark when Alabama went on a little bit of a run. Alabama shot 45% outside. Listen, this is a top 5 3-point shooting team in the country in terms of shots taken. That's where they're going to live and die. It's going to be 3-point shots. This is where Nick Smith can also play another big role. I'm not so sure I've seen him giving up maybe more than maybe 1 or 2 threes. There was a play, good Lord, who was it against? I think it was his first game back, maybe. But he was defending out on the perimeter. He went to go help on the double team. He didn't give up the three because of just – he gave up the three because of just not understanding that he need to get back to the on the ball. He need to get back to his spot out on the perimeter and to defend the player. Player had a wide open three. He knocks it down. That was a mistake on Nick Smith. He probably peeled off a little too late off the double team, which I'm not even sure the double team was warranted at that time. And then, of course, the guy makes the connection, gets the assist, and the three balls made, and that team got free 3 points right there. That was kind of a Nick Smith error, not really a fault of on-ball defense, right? I've not seen him. If anything, I think his ferociousness on defense you're seeing it, man. He looks like a two-way player. Again, it's not to say, we're not saying that he's Devo. We're not saying he's Walsh. But I've seen him play some pretty terrific defensive basketball. Now, this is going to be a little bit different. These are very talented guards. We all know how talented Alabama is. This is going to be a very fascinating guard-on-guard defensive game. Arkansas might need the twins to come through big time here. I don't know. Maybe they need Graham around the post, finding those easy little right in front of the iron buckets, right? Those little float-ins that he's so good at. Maybe they're going to need some more mid-range shots by Nick Smith, who I told you guys, he's a 3-level scorer. He could score outside, he could score mid-range, and he could finish at the rim. He could do it all, and that's what makes him so ferocious, and the fact that he's played really good two-way basketball on both ends of the floor, and he's creating opportunities for other players. He's not afraid to pass the ball, and that's something I've really loved out of him. You would think with him coming back, he's been out for a certain amount of time, you would think he would just want to hog the ball up, get his minutes, get the buckets. It's very clear he just wants to play and take this team further. He said it at Sassy's. I don't know if you guys caught that. I was going to actually record that and show it for you guys, but I didn't have time. But he made the comment, I was always going to come back, going through all the stuff that I was going through. I was going to come back. I was going to finish out the year. I owe it to my teammates. I owe it to Musselman. I think what he was also alluding to is he saw the struggle that they were having with him and Brazil being out. They're a different team with a healthy Nick Smith on the floor. And we're seeing it, man. We're seeing it just kind of come together. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not taking Arkansas in this game. Because of the outside circumstances, Bama fans are going to come out in full support. Miller knows that everyone. This is a big game. This is a big game for Alabama for a multitude of different reasons. Again, it's another step towards them winning the SEC again. It's a big deal. Arkansas, there's not as much on the line here. And that's not to say that they're going to take the game off. I'm not saying that at all. But there's not that little extra oomph, right? Like, other than just beating Bama, getting revenge. They came to Bud Walton. It's our turn to come here and get the win. Other than that, it doesn't do anything for you. Hell, you might actually gain a spot if you lose close. I don't know how that works. But if you lose close, if you get blown out, you might drop a couple spots. But not really. Bama's a high net ranking team, obviously. They're a potential 1 seed. Unless they just completely have a fallout these final games, they're a 1 seed. I just think that there's more for Bama, and it's because of the off the floor stuff, which is so unfortunate for a multitude of different reasons. Right? Someone lost their life. To hell with basketball. Someone lost their life, but getting back to basketball, I think that the fans feel the pressure from the media, like they're catching all this hate. A lot of people are calling them a win-at-all-cost basketball program. Nate Oates has had all kinds of just shit hurled at him, and probably rightfully so because of the way he said that with the wrong time, wrong place comment, which was, I don't know, man. Like I've said I know I've said stupid shit here before. I know I've said things I could be judged for, and I hate to do that for him. He claims he didn't have all the facts, although he also claimed that they already knew some of that stuff, so I don't know what to make. It's hard for me to look at Nate Oates and say he's coming out of this fresh and clean. I don't think he is. Alabama's going to have this cloud hanging over them. They're either going to react one of two ways. They're going to respond to it. They're going to embrace that kind of unfortunate, but yet still they've got to do what they got to do as a team. They can embrace that villain mentality. We're the villains. It's us against the world. It's going to galvanize them, right? Or the other way around, they let that cloud rain down on top of them, and they just can't get the distraction out of the locker room. There might be some resentment maybe from the staff to some of the players, maybe the players to the staff, maybe the players to Miller. I don't know. This is all about Miller, and it's not about the actual team. There could be some could be some issues. I don't know. I'm just saying, based on what I saw against South Carolina, they didn't look like a very good team outside of Miller. They did not play polished basketball. To be fair, South Carolina, that was their Super Bowl. They had the best team in the SEC in their arena. They had all this. They had the potential here of maybe getting an upset, maybe thinking that Alabama was too distracted to play the game, and they had a potential to win. That crowd wasn't overwhelming. It's not like a lot of people were there, but you could hear them, right? I mean, there was a presence there from the fans. You kind of felt like this was the situation that Alabama was up against, and they I don't know. I wasn't really that impressed, but now they're going home. They were tested. That's the other thing, too, that we're not talking about. South Carolina provided them more, if anything, more fuel to the fire because they played piss poor without Miller. Now, they're going to have a short turnaround, right? They've got Thursday and Friday, and I don't know what they do on Saturday morning, maybe a walkthrough or something, but Arkansas's got an extra day on them. Maybe that matters. Musselman's kind of alluded to that before about having that extra day and that presenting a little bit more opportunity. If you listen to him talk a little bit, you can kind of hear, if you read it between the lines, what he's saying. I've definitely picked up on him before, with that extra day's rest, that mattering. And I think it does matter, but unfortunately you've got to use a day to travel, right? So I think I'm not liking Arkansas here, because I feel like they're walking into a hornet's nest. Alabama, I'm not saying that this is their Super Bowl. It's not, but it's a big opportunity because of all the off the floor stuff. I think it's going to galvanize everybody. I think that program, the players, the coaches, the fans, they want to show support, and I think it's going to be that much more difficult. I don't know if none of this stuff had happened, and you would rather that be the case, right? Because in that way, someone doesn't have to lose their damn life. Of course, that's what we would all want. But if that were the reality, and we were just going into this like, hey, Nick Smith's playing great ball, and Alabama struggled for whatever reason, or they blew South Carolina out, whatever the case may be, I would say Arkansas has, and I still think this to be the case. I think they have a shot at winning this game. What I want to see, first off, I think the spread on I don't know what sports betting app, but I think it's 8 points. I don't think that's ESPN, is it? Let's look. What is ESPN saying? They shouldn't have their spreads out yet on ESPN. Nope, they don't. I imagine the spread across the board will be somewhere between 8 to 10 points. That's probably about where it should be. I think Arkansas, again, the X factor here is Nick Smith, and for Alabama, it's just how they respond to being home and all the off the field or off the floor stuff. The crowd might actually be the X factor here. So it's going to be a good game. These, I think, are two of at least the top 4 teams in the SEC, Alabama clearly being one. We'll kind of see where Arkansas's at. But this is a good test for Arkansas, man. It's such a good test, especially with Miller playing. It's a really, really good gauge to test by where is Arkansas at since Nick Smith has returned. If you go on the road and you play these guys down to the final few possessions, to the final 3.5, 4 minutes, you got to feel pretty good about that. Now, you're going to have to turn around, damn it, and play Tennessee on the road, damn it. But then you get to close things out against Kentucky. So these last 3 games, I mean, Kentucky, I don't know what to make of Kentucky. I swear, it just depends on what team shows the hell up. But your last opponents are 14-1 in conference play, 9-6. Tennessee, of course, getting banged up. They've struggled, but they're 20-8 overall. And then you have Kentucky, who's 10-5. They've turned it around. They're 5 games above 500 in conference play. They've got a 19-9 record, the same as the Razorbacks, who are sitting at 8-7 in conference play. These last 3 games are opportunities just to test where you're at and to kind of give you a feel for maybe what to expect. And then there's the SEC tournament, right? How well do they play on a neutral floor, quote unquote? So you've got some opportunities here to test where the Razorbacks are at heading into March. I guess they're a lock. That's what everyone's saying. No matter what happens, if they lose all 3 of these games, which I don't see happening, they're either gonna drop both these next 2 games and then beat Kentucky, or maybe a 2-1 scenario where they beat Tennessee and beat Kentucky. Boy, what a way to close the year out, huh? To do that, two teams at the beginning of the year. I'm not so sure we'd even be saying that necessarily, given the circumstances with Brazile and Nick Smith at that time, right at that point in the year. And you look at how well Tennessee was playing, kind of to start things off. Yeah, a little bit different scenario, and here we are. But at the end of the day, it kind of feels like just how much different would things be with Nick Smith all year, and how does that play into these final 3 games? But, it's kind of woulda, coulda, shoulda. No sense in going down that road. But the games are set the way they are. The records are set the way they are. You've had to battle through injuries. Everyone's had to battle through some injuries this year outside of maybe Alabama, but they've had to deal with their own set of issues. So Arkansas is going to have this. You couldn't ask for better opportunities to improve your ranking, to improve your net, and to improve your seeding than what you have before you right now. Right? These final 3 games are opportunities to improve your seeding. Again, I don't know that I buy that you can lose out and get into the tournament or not. I don't know. At that point, you're under 500 in conference play. That's 19 wins on the year. Of course, then it would kind of, what happens in the SEC tournament at that point, and how much of an impact could that have, right, on whether or not you get in. But I guess that is what everyone believes, including Joe Lunardi and a number of other people, that Arkansas could actually lose out and still make it into the tournament. But then I would ask, what about the SEC tournament? If you're one and done in the SEC tournament, you win or you lose 4 in a row, are you still in? I don't know, man. Again, being sub 20 games. But that net ranking just absolutely is obsessed with the SEC. I'm just curious if 8 teams really do good. Or let's go with what I believe to be more realistic, which is 7. If 7 teams get in, how many of them get past the second round? I mean, really, how many of them get to the third round? How many of them make it to the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8? And we still don't know for sure if Bama is completely over all this stuff off the floor. Because, again, if you watch what happened on the road against South Carolina, they need every bit of Miller. If Miller has a couple of bad possessions in that game, it feels like they lose. Or a couple more bad possessions in that game, they probably lose. I mean, that thing went into overtime, right? Tennessee falling apart. Their injuries are racking up. Kentucky's starting to play a little bit better basketball, but what is their ceiling really? We know the talent. We know Sheboy is a hell of a big. It's nice to have someone like that down low. Arkansas's got Nick Smith back. They're still missing Brazil, and we still don't know for sure just how good they are with Smith back, although I believe, not the talking heads or the corporate sports people, not those people or the established media. I believe they've turned things around on the offensive end of the floor. They might have to sacrifice a little bit of defensive play because we might see less Devo on the floor, but maybe Nick Smith makes up for a lot of that, right? For what you're missing out of Devo's presence on the defensive end of the floor. So many things that just kind of rush to your mind thinking about where Arkansas is really at. Again, that's what makes this game so important. You're going to get a better idea of what caliber team they are because, again, they're going up against a lottery pick and they're going up against a really talented team. You could argue the most talented team in the SEC on the road. Then you're going to turn around, play at Tennessee, and close things out against Kentucky at home, who, again, look to be improved. Kentucky right now, I'm looking at this strictly from a seeding standpoint. These guys have won 3 in a row that include at Mississippi State. If you guys have watched Mississippi State play lately, that is an extremely impressive win for Kentucky, and they won that 71-68. They beat Tennessee. Again, the wheels kind of look like they're falling off because of injuries, and they're just getting a little bit more exploited. Their defense still really good. Their offense has just had some issues. They beat Florida on the road. That one was close for a little bit, but then they found a way to win by 82-74 by 8 points. They've got Auburn on tomorrow at 3 p.m., Vanderbilt at home, and like I mentioned, they close things out against Arkansas at 1 p.m. on the 4th of March. So all these games are opportunities to improve your seeding. I think if you win out, it's on the table. Is winning out on the table? Where's my poll? Do I have a poll up? Let's pull up the poll. Hold up. Can Arkansas win out? I don't know. I'll just do it right now. Are they capable? Let's do that. Is Arkansas, what are we at? We're at 56 minutes. Is Arkansas capable? Am I spelling that right? Is Arkansas capable of winning out? There you go. Boom. You guys tell me. I would tell you. I would vote yes. But it wouldn't shock me if they walk into down in Tuscaloosa and they get their ass handed to them either, because they're walking into a hornet's nest. Ole Miss will hire Will Wade. Ole Miss will not hire Beard. Fact. Yeah, and it's too soon. It's too soon. They fired their guy today. I not surprised. Not completely surprised that they fired their guy. But, Kermit Davis, yeah, a little bit of a project hire for them. So I'm not shocked. I could see them hiring Will Wade. Ole Miss has a certain reputation. Why not? Wade was fired for cheating. Beard fired for an arrest on battery, which charges were dropped. It's just too soon, though. But you could make the same argument for Will Wade. Bot says, of course they're capable, Ty. Come on. You're not. Listen. You should. Wade can be hired tomorrow. He can be hired. It's a matter of the reputation behind these guys. I don't know that I don't think either one of them end up at Ole Miss, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Brandon Miller, Chris Beard, avoiding charges. And then LSU let him coach. Oh, God, you got to love it, man. You have to love it. I mean, winning at all costs. Yeah, Bot Magnet says, of course they're capable, man. You don't. You apparently aren't on Twitter. You're apparently not in my DMs. I'm told over and over that these 2 wins mean absolutely jack shit for Arkansas. I'm in a group chat. You should hear some of the shit that's said in that group chat. So no, I wouldn't say of course. It's not obvious to everybody. Ty, do you have a pineapple for your broadcast? What? What are we talking about? Beard's first game, Ole Miss gives away red and blue. Oh, Lord. Ole Miss DGAF about optics. Sure don't. Yeah, you're going to have to tell me in Discord. I don't know what you're talking about, Will. We are 15th in the net, 15th in KenPom, and projected to be 9th seed. Explain that for me, Ty. Well, you've got a couple of embarrassing losses, but I don't know. Ty has an upside down pineapple in his grocery cart. No, I do not, sir. You bite your tongue. Yeah, I don't know, Ryan. I think, again, you have some confusing losses this year. The LSU loss, right? That's still one that you just don't understand. But they have 2 of those every year. They have 2 of those kind of losses every single year. Muss has a knack for figuring out how to nullify one player for the opposing team if he can take out Miller. Hogs win. Is that their approach? Probably, yeah. And Miller, they slowed down last time. I think it took him to late in the second half to start racking up points, if I remember right. That game feels like a year ago. I don't know why. I think at that point we were, 17 games into the season, overall. It feels like such a long time ago, but yeah, at that time I think Arkansas was already, what were they? They were I think they'd won one conference game going into that one. And I seem to remember Miller being just completely shut down until about midway through the second half, I believe. And he just kind of went off, and he got some points. He got some buckets. You look at what did he end up doing? He didn't have a ton of points. He ended up with 12 or hang on, let me pull it up. Let's see. I think it was 12, maybe. Hold on, I'll just shut up until here we go. Okay, he had 14. Yeah, Sears went off for 26. Bradley had 5. Clowney had 15. They got a little bit of production off their bench. What'd they get? 4, 8, 11. So about 16 points off their bench. 6, 8, 10 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 2 blocks off the bench. They had 5 blocks in that game. Arkansas had 4. Arkansas, the Mitchell twins got the start here. Mackay had 10 points, 5 rebounds. McCall ended up with 5 points, 2 blocks. Boy, Mackay had 3 turnovers that game. I do not remember that in the postgame. Graham, off the bench, had 16 points. Maybe that should have been our guess. Like, who leads this team in scoring off the bench? I guess we got to wait and see. I mean, we know what the starting lineup's going to be. At least I have a pretty good feeling. But Devo is like the question. How many minutes does Devo Davis get? Or how many points can they hold Miller to? Can they hold him to 14 or less, matching what they did last time? But, yeah, they shot last time at Bud Walton. Alabama shot 69% at the free throw line. But they shot 46% overall, 25 of 54, but they were 9 of 20, 45%. They hit just 9 threes. For them, that's what, about their average, right? And they still, 45% is pretty good. 9 of 20 is pretty damn good. Yeah, you're shooting north of like 35% on that amount of attempts. That's good. But yeah, they found a way, and it was late shooting outside. I think they nailed the majority of their 3-point shots in the second half. I think they had 5 in the second half. God, don't quote me on that. I really don't remember. Walsh had 2 points. Yeah, you're starting 5. Not the greatest performances outside of Devo. Devo had 16 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 0 turnovers. Arkansas did end up with 15 turnovers. Council had 5 of those. Anthony Black had 4. I seem to remember that. I remember thinking Black actually had more. But, yeah, that's a lot. That's 9 turnovers just between Black and Ricky Council. Definitely cannot do that again. They turned the ball over just 13 times. Again, Arkansas turning it over 15 times. My bad. It was 15 times with 23 fouls on Arkansas, 22 on Alabama. Arkansas shot 65% at the free throw line at home. That is just, come on, man. You should just be so much better at shooting the at the charity stripe. Why are they not better at shooting at the free throw line at home? Why is that just like a given? Oh, they might shoot 65% at home, or they could shoot. Was it Florida? They shot 59%, or who was that? Someone recently they shot underneath 60% at home. That's inexcusable, unexcusable. One of those two. It's one of those two. They shot 20% outside, 2 of 10. And listen, Blake Lovell and I talked about this. Arkansas needs to be around 14 threes attempted, right? That needs to be about their standard. But we know they're inside the paint, down close around the iron. That's where they're going to get their points. Or maybe they're going to have the mid-range shots drop, right? You're going to get Graham. You're going to find Nick Smith somewhere around 12 to 15 feet out. That's going to be kind of their sweet spot. Can they do that against Bama? Can they shoot better than 20% outside? You just got to be better across the board. 43% is not terrible overall shooting. That's not terrible. But God, 2 of 10, man. 65% at home at the charity stripe. Just so many, I don't know. Just some of this just not indicative of an Eric Musselman team, especially when you look at only getting to the free throw line that much, but how much of that is just on officiating. I get that we haven't had the same quality of wins as previous seasons. But every single metric that can be used to rank teams for March has Arkansas as a top 25 team, most close to 15. Yeah, again, Ryan, you just have to – it's whether or not you buy into how good the conference is. That's if you think the conference is better than if you think it's as good as Lenardi believes that it is, or maybe if you believe that Lenardi believes that the net ranking believes it's as good as it is – then yeah, sure, maybe they should be ranked in the top 25. I don't know. I have a hard time buying the SEC, especially in postseason play. They've not shown it. They've not shown it. How many teams, once we get to, maybe I'm wrong this year, and the SEC's actually elevated play, and they just beat the hell out of each other, and that's why there's 8 teams. That's why the net ranking is so into the SEC this year. It's why Arkansas has such a high net ranking, which is still surprising. Go to 2-1, finish the season, and we can we can get up to a 6 line. We had many more quality wins last year, I believe, than this year. That's actually a good question. Yeah, they did, and they were better in the month of February last year too. I'm with you there. Hard to envision A&M or Mississippi State or Missouri surviving the first weekend. It really is. Missouri, what do you expect out of them on defense? We know what they can do on offense, and sometimes that translates pretty well. Missouri wouldn't shock me if they went on a little bit of a run. Like if anyone of everyone that I've watched, A&M, I don't know. We don't have a very large sample size of A&M in postseason play, right? We don't have a large enough sample size. Musselman, you feel like, especially with Nick Smith back, okay, they can go on a run. You've got veterans back from a year ago who are going to be around the team. They may not get a lot of minutes, like guys like Kamani, who were here, and of course you've got Devo, who we'll see what his role is moving forward. You have some experience back. You've got Nick Smith back, and you have Musselman who's taking you to back-to-back Elite Eights, and possibly maybe the second best team in college basketball the first year when they lost to Baylor, because they gave Baylor a hell of a contest, right? And Baylor went on to do what exactly? Well, then maybe last year Arkansas floated around being maybe a top 5 team a year ago. This year you feel like they're kind of climbing back into that. But what about the rest of the SEC? It's whether or not you buy into what this league is or isn't. And I don't know. I would be shocked if there were 2 teams out of the SEC. And, of course, it's all going to depend on how they're separated in the brackets and whatnot. But I'd be shocked to see more than 2 teams get to the Sweet 16 out of the SEC. I'd be shocked. Once they play against legitimate teams in the tournament, they just get exposed, and that's been the case for a pretty long time, even with the higher caliber coaching hires outside of Musselman, who obviously looks like to be one of the better hires in college basketball 4 years ago. Tennessee can't score when it matters. No, they can't. Tennessee is limited on offense. They do, and yeah. God. Did I get a Monica joke in chat? Oh, my goodness. Missouri can't win anywhere except from home. That's also true. And they should have lost to Arkansas. Tristan says, look, we beat down Florida and Georgia, yes. But I really believe that the turnaround that we are used to seeing is happening right now. And I believe that we will beat Alabama tomorrow and beat Kentucky. I certainly hope so. I think I'm buying probably the most realistic, which is I don't know. Here's the thing. Nick's return has really only seen one great performance, right? But that was against a not so high quality team. But you look at the product on the floor, the assists are going up, the turnovers are going down, the stupid fouls are going down, the stupid passing in the lanes that end up getting picked. Not that that won't happen, because it will, but those plays are being limited. There's smarter play on the floor, right? It's Arkansas's actions. We're seeing them finally kind of get a lead and learn how to keep the lead. We're not seeing as much pumping of the brakes in the second half. So it's hard for me to say one way or another, because they haven't really. This current version of this team has not truly been tested yet. And that's why I don't believe we have a large enough sample size to say one way or another that Arkansas is way better. Now, I think the product is better, but that can only mean a couple of things, right? The product could still be better, but you could still be limited in certain areas, right? You have guys that just don't play smart basketball. Walsh comes to mind when we talk about defense. He just gets into foul trouble, and he's not given the benefit of the doubt really ever from officiating. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he talked bad about one of the head officials' moms or something. I don't know what the hell's going on, but that dude is never given the benefit of the doubt from officiating. And then you have Graham, who's defensively, this is why he'll never get – I don't think he'll get taken. I don't think he's a legitimate I don't think he's in the conversation at all, really, to be drafted. It's just fun to think out loud, like, man, if he could expand on his offensive end of his game. Defensively, he's a liability, right? There's still things you're limited in. You don't have Brazil coming off the bench, or, I mean, ideally he'd be a starter, but the way the Mitchell twins have played, you've kind of made up for the lack of Brazil being on the floor. But what about on the offensive end of things, right? To have a guy that size, that athletic, move up and down the floor, I compare him to Daniel Gafford. I can remember at the beginning, early this season, boy, imagine if we had Daniel Gafford. You had your Daniel Gafford and Trevon Brazil. As close to Gafford as you could get anyways. Remember, he was climbing up those mock draft boards. He was climbing up. If I remember correctly, I think someone did have him at the tail end of the first round early on in the season before his injury. Of course, now he's nowhere to be found because of his injury. But there are some things that you just don't have, right? So the product can be great, but you could still have limitations. And that's what we just haven't seen tested out of this bunch yet. So it's hard for me to say, and that's why I haven't done how many games does Arkansas win. That's why I haven't done that. How many games do they finish these final 3? As fun as that is to think about and to talk about, I don't know that we have a large enough sample size with Nick Smith being back with this different version of this team. According to Muss, this is like version number 6. We don't have a large enough sample size. A part of me says if we believe in what we're seeing against Florida and Georgia, what we saw happen, especially this last game with Nick, then holy shit, they really this is a 3-0 team to close out the season. Or it could be the other, it could be the other way around where, yeah, they're just that bad. Those two teams are really just that bad, and we just don't know. And that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know because I don't have faith in these last two teams that they played that really tested Arkansas in any kind of way whatsoever, other than just seeing Arkansas's game elevate. How much, right, is what we don't know. That's what makes this game so huge. That's why those games were so important, these last two opponents. That's why they were so important for Arkansas, because it's allowing you a little bit of build-up. It's allowing these guys to find chemistry on not just offense, but also on defense, trying to figure things out. Who's going to be the leader? How vocal is Nick Smith? How vocal is Devo when on the floor or not, right? The leaders. How does the staff kind of react? How's Musselman react? How quick does he pull a guy? How much time is he going to give Devo now if he is a problem and he's not producing on both ends of the floor? And now you're pulling him a little quicker because you feel a little bit better about your depth at guard, right? You have 2 point guards. You have 2 guys that are capable of being combo guards or point guards. They can play the 1 or the 2 in Nick Smith and Anthony Black. So expand on these roles. Let's see the play elevate even more. If they go on the road and give Alabama a hell of a game, and the same could be said for Tennessee, because Tennessee's still difficult to beat on the road, right? And you got them in a midweek game. Boy, that would be a fun Saturday night game, wouldn't it? But, hey, this is going to be a fun game tomorrow regardless, and it's going to be fun playing Tennessee regardless of when and where. So, yeah, right now I would stick with I don't know the final 3 or 1 and 2, because Arkansas has still struggled on the road. They've not shown me that they can win meaningful games outside of Kentucky, and even then, was that just a game where they were off, right? They just weren't on, and Arkansas caught them at the right time in the right place in the right moment. Or of course, we'll know a little bit more about them when we close out the season, but that'll be inside Bud Walton Arena. I've not liked the product on the road. I just haven't. So that's why I would stick with 1 and 2. But again, we haven't seen prime Nick Smith on the road yet. We haven't seen this elevated play on the road yet. So Saturday is meaningful for those reasons. All right. Brazil's a 3-point threat too. He was. I said too, I think Vanover or Brazil was kind of what we wanted in Vanover. Of course, he's not as tall as Vanover, but he's kind of what you wanted in Vanover, only more athletic, could actually finish at the rim, could actually put up the putbacks, and could shoot from, I don't know if he was necessarily a consistent 3-level shooter, but he was certainly someone who could stretch the floor for someone that size to be able to do that. We kind of wanted that out of Vanover. All right, the poll, is Arkansas capable of winning out? 90% of you said yes, 10% of you said no. See, I told you there were some that did vote, that did believe that Didn't think that they could. I agree. Competition has been weak the last 2 games, but the way they have played, and limited turnovers gives me hope. Exactly. Brazil on pick and roll with AB lobbing it up was money. Yeah. Whoppy? What's going on, Brian Fraser? Who's a member, by the way. Look at him go. Aren't you a Patreon supporter too, Brian? I thought you were a Patreon supporter. I can't remember if you are or not, but I appreciate you being a member. Oh, Aaron got me a super chat here. I didn't read it. My bad, Aaron. I got you. Big part of the offense being better is the fact that Nick never stops moving. I'd say on both ends of the floor, he's like that. He's tenacious on defense. I don't know where to compare him. I'm not saying he's Devo, but I've really loved it. These last 2 games, let's see. These last 2 games are in game work in real time. That's huge. The Hogs are matchup nightmares for Kentucky. One of the few teams with bodies to throw at Sheboy absolutely shut him down last time around. Yeah, Sheboy was a non-factor. Of course, he was in a slump. I don't know if he's is he turning it around? Is Kentucky figuring things out? Cal, known for his hard-headedness. So it looks like they're trying to do some things a little bit different, I guess. I haven't watched a lot, but that's what I'm hearing and what I'm reading a little bit. We'll see if that's a different team that walks into Fayetteville inside Bud Walton to close out the regular season. All right, I do appreciate you guys. Tomorrow, I'm trying to think if I missed anything. We went over the hour, but I kind of thought we would. 17 minutes over the hour so far. We do have our picks in Discord. If you guys are Discord or if you're in the Discord, the questions are, again, if you're there, you've seen them, but Eastern Illinois versus Arkansas. Predict winner of the series, you get 6,000 XP. Triple or nothing. Predict the total amount of runs by Arkansas in the series. That's worth 18,000. Again, myself and mods are excluded. And then Arkansas at Bama. Pick winner, you get 7K. Double or nothing, pick winner, and hog leading scorer for 14,000 XP. So that's our Discord. Those are our Discord questions. So, all right. Do we have everything here? Let me if you want a link. Let's see, can I link them both? All of them? Can I link all of these? This is going to be a mess, I bet. Let's see what it looks like. Thanks for the stream time. Yeah, man, I appreciate you, Ryan. There you go. Oh, Lord, that's a mess. There's the links for Discord, Patreon, and if you don't want to do the monthly thing, as people have told me, just share the PayPal link. There it is. So all 3 links are available for you guys in live chat. Again, I do appreciate you. We will have a post-game show. This is a big game tomorrow. Big game. Big series, too. Opening series in a very nasty kind of – it's not nasty weather, but it's just dark and cold out. But if you go to the game, bring a jacket, root the Hogs on. Let's see if what Arkansas does. Really, really hope they can keep things going. Had to come from behind against Grambling. I hope that's not the case here, but we'll have to wait and see. It's too early to really know for sure just how good some of these teams are, but a sweep to start things off and bomb for its first series would be awesome. So, all right, Tristan, I'll read your comment. This will be the last comment here. If you think about it, almost every loss we have missed more free throws than the margin of victory of opposing teams. Yeah, got to get better at the free throw line, man. Got to get better at the free throw line. I mean, what would their record be if they were just like 5% better at the line? And they might be asking too much. It is at this point, I feel like it really is. It feels like it's asking too much. They're inconsistent at the free throw line. On the road, they're just consistently bad at the free throw line. At home, they're inconsistent. They've shot above, 80% twice this year, which is unbelievable. But then when you look at the rest of the season at the line, you just don't know what you're getting. All right. Woo Pig. I'll see you guys tomorrow after Arkansas and Alabama. Big game. Woo Pig.